up? This your boy Monty G from the Fammission Podcast. Please subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can get all access to motivated and inspiring videos on this Fammission Friday. Every Friday. Let's get to the podcast. Yo, what's up? This your boy Monty G, man. And today we got a special guest, a super special guest. So I'm going to bring him up into the party. I ain't going to hold y'all too much. I'm excited. And there he is.
What's up, Monty G? What's happening on this Friday night?
Hey, it's a beautiful Friday, Fammission Friday. So tell the people where you from, your name, and what you do.
Well, I'm originally from Philadelphia.
Oh.
And my name is Richard Blank, and I'm the CEO of Costa Rica's call center.
Oh, Costa Rica. Okay. Costa Rica, we out there. All right. So I want to start off with, who inspired you as a kid?
Had to have been my great-grandparents that came over from Europe at the turn of the 20th century. They learned English. They were entrepreneurs. They were nomads. Might have skipped a generation or two, but when I was 18 years old, Monty, I knew my favorite class was recess. Just can't earn a living off of that. Second favorite class was Spanish, and I decided to double down on languages and to go to better weather. So I went to the University of Arizona and studied Spanish communication. And next thing you know, this second language opened many doors and gave me the marketability to move abroad and start a company.
Okay. So tell me a little bit, like, what was your mindset when you were living in Philadelphia? Like, did you expect you to be where you at right now?
That's a great question. I tell you what, a lot of us are given opinions and some of our careers are predestined. So Monty J, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to live someone else's life. I'm going to live my own life. Am I being selfish? No, but I understand my strengths. I know where I'd be most fulfilled and do the best work. And so it's impossible to really compare notes being a second language major. Most of my friends are studying medicine and law, going to Ivy League. I went to Arizona. And so I really had to make my case. And my case was I was going to double down on this. I was going to learn this. And I was going to do everything I could to master this language and see where it could go. And, don't kid yourself. I mean, along the way, there may be some naysayers and great believers. And that's all right. People care about you, but got to hold the course. And, you might be on some vision quest, some spiritual journey. And you know that you're being true to yourself, Monty G. And that was just one of the things I was trying to do at 18, be that sort of mature young kid to make that real life decision and to invest in myself. And, if you can get past your parents' guilt, you can live anywhere in the world. And so I chose, paradise in Central America. I've been here 22 years. So it's been a very nice run.
Okay. So what's the difference between over there and over here?
Definitely the weather, depending. But secondly, the cost of living, it's about a third. Spanish is the native tongue. A lot of people here do speak English. It is a democratic society. They don't have a standing army, so they have a very high literacy rate at 95%. But check this out. The ecotourism here is some of the best in the world. We have incredible surfing. If you like hot springs and waterfalls and beaches and butterflies, iguanas, monkeys, or you name it. It's like Gilligan's Island. It's so much fun down here. Wow. And it's just a nice sort of relaxed pace. And so it might allow yourself to recharge some batteries that just might be moving so fast back in your hometown.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you, my friend, because when it's time to visit, I'll be giving you a ring.
I hope you like sushi. I'm going to be filling you till you pop.
All right, now. All right. So what's the difference between which one is harder, speaking Spanish or writing Spanish?
I guess the speaking part, because there might be some time constraints. When you're writing, there's a chance to concentrate and go at a little bit of slower pace and possibly use a dictionary or some sort of assistance. But This is the way that I was able to learn it the fastest. First, you got to grind out the grammar. That you have to do to at least understand it. But when I used to watch movies in Spanish, I would watch it and I would also have the Spanish subtitles because in the movie there might be some background noise, really speaking fast and accent and expression. And by reading it, it was kind of like not a cheat sheet, but it was really helping me. And if it was something that would make me sit through a 2 hour movie and be able to explain what's going on, I think I was making adjustments. But I tell you what, it's been one of the best positive reinforcements because every sales job I had, Monty G, that not only was I accepted on my first impression, but I was getting referrals. People were calling their family and friends and saying, you got to meet this kid. And sometimes you even get fed. And so it was a gift that kept on giving. All the world was a stage. Spanish could be spoken anywhere. And as long as I knew the bad words, but also I knew the proper grammar and extensive vocabulary to really show this dedication. It was just, I'm a Philly boy speaking Spanish, go figure. So, but it was just one of those things that when I moved here at 27, I was able to acclimate myself. I earned the respect of those that were here. And when I worked at my friend's call center for a couple of years, I was able to see what it was like from the inside and out. I was able to break bread and sit in cubicles with these people. And that was my special sauce, Monty. That's where I learned how to start a company because empathy and dignity, if you have that in abundance, you're going to be exceptionally successful.
Yeah, I always wanted to learn how to speak Spanish because like a lot of people come to my job and they speak Spanish, and I don't like to go get the Spanish people and talk. So I learned a little bit Espanol, so I know a little bit to get me by. But you
Monty,
said
just
it.
learn the present tense. You got the
Yeah,
family of five, the yo, tú, usted, nosotros, ustedes. You could break down hablar. You
yeah,
can
yeah.
break down comer. And if you can do pure present tense, you're flying. You're doing just fine.
I know. One thing you said was I watch Spanish movies and I read it as they going, and I'm like, oh, that's what I can learn.
That's the double double. You know that.
Yeah.
You're reading
So
their lips too, and you get you get to see everything.
I like that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna have to put that on
But
my.
Monty, you got to have the passion for it. Just don't make it a one and a done. It's a real commitment.
Oh no.
It's the sort of thing that you'll stumble from time to time. You're a strong man, so you don't mind sharing it in public. No one's going to laugh or ridicule you. They
Oh,
may correct you, make a suggestion, but my man, they will always love the fact that you're trying. There was always some wind in my sails and the motivation to keep studying.
I know a lot of Spanish people when I talk Spanish, they surprised that I speak a little Spanish. They like, man, when like early in the morning, buenos dias, and they like that was you. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I know a little Espanol, so yeah.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, so let me see. Oh yeah, you said it's a lot. Your friend
Hmm.
brought you to the call center,
Oh yeah, one in a
right?
million opportunity, Monty.
So tell me the story. How did that come about? Like, did he just give you a call? Was you sitting back on the couch wondering, scratching your head? He called you, and it was a life changing.
I always believe in the stars being aligned. I was in between jobs at the moment. My cousin Joe said, "Hey, remember Joey?" I go, "I most certainly do." So I had a bunch of friends that knew that I was available, was yearning to do something like this, gave me this one in a million opportunity that does cross your path every now and again.
Mm,
As I mentioned before, if you can get past certain guilt or restrictions in your life, I say go for it. As long as you're not being irresponsible financially or really hurting your family.
mhm.
But maybe I just wasn't following in certain footsteps. So allow me to at least fail with my pride. But
Yeah.
that didn't happen. So I came down. It was only supposed to be for 2 months. I came down in August of 2000. It was kind of fun. It was almost like a real world. I was living with 7 other people in a house.
Okay.
And one by one, people just started going home back to the States because A, they didn't want to work at a call center, or B, they just weren't going to work. So they
Mm.
didn't last. But when I got off that plane, And I saw Costa Rica and the art of speech and these young kids in their mid 20s that were conversing in English and getting these positive escalations. I gravitated towards it. I also realized I had a home court advantage. I could really do this.
Mm.
And by giving all these resources, I stayed for 4 years, and I guess I learned it from the inside and out. And I almost went from high school to the pros. I never went through the manager or supervisor level. Monty G, I never lost the essence, which got me into it in the first place. So I started my own company, one seat, and it grew to, close to almost 200 seats. And it's been almost 15 years. So looking back, I invested in myself. I took this chance. And if you can live with yourself like that, because if you know you go the distance, you're going to win. There are twists and turns. There's no
Yeah.
straight lines in nature, Monty J. So how would you expect it to be easy? You got to
Mm.
grind it out. You got to be the champ.
Yeah.
And I'm a testament of somebody that had to take it 3,000 miles away from my family to test my skills. And
Mm.
just maybe had to be done.
I mean, it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. So let me see. I wanted to ask you this:
Yeah.
how many books have you read in the last 90 days?
I'm more of an audiobook kind of guy. And if I read the news. My third
Okay.
grade teacher would be disappointed in me.
Now, well, the question was, how many books or audio books have you read in the last 90 days?
I can't necessarily say full books from start to finish. I'm more into, let's just say, old time radio. So I'll listen to episodes of speakers in the past that were more eloquent and had choice vocabulary, if that counts at all.
Yeah.
Or I might just be listening to sort of philosophies online. I enjoy
Mm,
things to allow me to ponder.
okay.
Sometimes it's a commitment to a book. It's almost like a movie. If you rented it, you kind of have to sit through it. I don't know if I want to sit through 400 pages. Sometimes I got to get to the point.
Yeah.
And I like things that are a little bit shorter, so it's easier to digest. And if it's a theme that I like, then I can almost binge listen or binge watch or just, drink it while it's good. And then I get sick of it. And then you're
Hmm.
on to the next thing. But for my craft, I always like listening to conversations which are very engaging and very intelligent. So you can almost learn diplomacy, maybe to avoid fighting. Or if there is an argument, you listen to how somebody was able to calm the situation and make nice. And so
Hmm.
those are the main things I try to pick out of these sort of interactions that I listen to, Monty G.
Okay. So, um, do you listen to like motivational videos? Is a certain person that you listen to?
That's a good point. My favorite actor, voice actor, would be Basil Rathbone. So I
Mm,
listened to a ton of his stuff. But, I enjoyed Remington Steele and Templeton Peck, of course.
yeah.
But my main thing is that I don't need the motivational stuff. It's okay, but I really don't get too much out of it. I have enough self-confidence. I don't need to worry about somebody else.
Yeah.
And so I look for biographies, or I look for somebody that tests thought, so I'm able to look at things at different perspectives. It doesn't mean that I agree with it. And there are
Hmm.
also some topics I've never expected to even jump into and listen. It's almost like when they give these university classes online. You don't have to pay for it. You can dabble in it and see if you want to sit through it.
Yeah.
And I'll listen to things I thank God never paid for and never had to take a test on. But just to see if the topic is interesting enough or I can grasp it, or it might be a new avenue for me. You never know, Monty. But I'm open minded. I don't really like negativity. I don't
Hmm.
want to watch people bashing each other. If anything, it's more for conflict management where I can learn that stuff.
Hmm.
But we don't have that much time. I mean, I'm working out in the gym. I'm spending time with my wife. I'm doing other things. I don't really know how much I can have that sort of commitment to be able to fulfill that sort of, you know, book, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
or program.
I listen to um I listen to audiobooks when I have the time. and but they helped me a lot. I listen to Les Brown on a
All right.
motivational side. I listen
Mhm.
to what's his name, Napoleon Hill, Think and
Excellent.
Grow Rich. Yeah,
Sure.
I check out a lot of different stuff, but I'm just like you. But it's a lot of, like I say, I go to the school of YouTube University. You know, like YouTube got so much information out there, and if you just cut out all the negative stuff and look for all the positive, you'll learn a lot of stuff that you wasn't taught from your family. So my next question is, what is something you had to unlearn?
Impulse control.
Mm,
All right. If I'm given the luxury of time, if I may listen and ponder and then readjust myself and come back the next day level headed and fresh, I can keep the relationship, maybe even make it better. Because before you feel like you need to answer immediately or make your point, and I hate deal breakers. It should never be a deal breaker. For
mm-hmm,
what? Or saying something that you can't take back at the moment. It's so,
mm,
you have to be very careful. I think when we look back in our past, those are usually the times when we knew that we weren't mature enough
mm,
to have said the right thing or have done the right thing. You should be taking your jacket off and putting it over puddles from time to time. And people forget these sort of things in the moment. They're
mm.
thinking of other things. But that was it. And the more that I lived outside the United States, Monty, and realizing I was a guest in this country, not at a home court advantage, it
Mhm.
humbles you. It makes you more alert, more lucid of what's going on around you. And I think I was drinking life a little bit more. Back home, I was in a routine that I was used to.
Mm.
And you just can't snap out of it. But here, every day is like jagged Saturday. You never know what's going to happen today, and I like that sort of stuff. It keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
It makes life a little more livid, and you can really see what's going on around you.
Hmm. So I heard you say you got a wife, right? So how long you been married, and did you meet your wife there or over here, and you just brought her there?
Oh, she's a Costa Rican girl. It's kind of funny. She's in a place called Fila, and I'm from Philadelphia.
Nah.
That's how we met. Oh, no, but I met her when I first came here. And
Mm,
so I've known Grace for 22 years. We've been together
mm.
for a long time.
Yeah.
And actually got married 3 times, which is kind of cool. Once in Costa Rica in this outdoor Greek amphitheater in Las Caletas. Second time was in Arizona in front of this waterfall, which was cool at Gainey Ranch. And then the third time was in Vegas at the little wedding chapel where everybody goes. So yeah, we went
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
did that too.
Yeah. Yeah. I did that, and I've been married for 20 years. First
Oh,
time marriage,
wonderful.
and I'm still hanging on. So yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
So
you met
that's a
your
beautiful.
princess, man. You get to
Yeah.
grow old together.
Yeah, and that's beautiful, man. You came down there, found a new way of living, got your wife and a new whole life, man. That's
Man, it found me. I almost like fell back into it. It's fun. It's
mm,
like that big, bucket of balls that you have at Chuck E.
Chuck
Cheese
E.
where you just go,
Cheese.
yeah, it's the ball pit. Anything
Yeah.
goes in this thing. So, of course I was going to go for it. Wouldn't
Uh,
you?
man, yeah, yeah. All right, let me see. I asked you that, man. I just want to know, like, tell me a little bit about the call center before I get off into these questions, because I want to dig off into how was your upbringing, like how you was a kid, like my podcast is about inspiring the youth, right? And sometimes,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and
Well,
sometimes,
let's go way back then. I can go
yeah,
way, 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 way back.
you have the
One
stage.
of one of my earliest and fondest memories was raising money for East Abington Little League. We were walking around the neighborhood knocking on doors selling dollar candy bars, and this was like in 1978. That's
Mm,
expensive. That's like a $20 candy bar. But
mm,
I remember this. It took me about one full Saturday to knock on enough doors and give a smile and properly introduce myself and charm Mrs. Jones that I'm buying a uniform. A lot of times they would just give me money and not even take the candy. But I learned multiple things that day, that you work hard, you can succeed. If you have charm, it definitely opens many doors. And my dad taught me a huge lesson. I sold all the candy bars. And he said to me, listen, kid, you worked your tail off. I'm going to teach you a lesson. I'm going to pay for it. You get to keep that money. And I was like, what are you going to do with that kind of money? But I remember this without even knowing that I was going to get that as a prize. I just enjoyed the adventure that day. And I must have been young. What was this? It's been like 6, 7 years old doing this thing out in the neighborhood. That was the first start. Of course, lemonade stands. And you need to have that personality. It's not like you're trying to pitch the money. They'll give you the money because you're cute. Of course, they're going to buy it. You're just amazing. You just need to learn manners. You need to sit up straight. You need to look somebody in the eye. And you should say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mrs. Jones. What is your name? My name is Richard. Very nice to meet you. And these are the things, as we mentioned, I learned in Spanish, learned in English, that I see that's elegant, that works and opens doors, that Richard started using to sell candy bars at 6 to 12 years old by being charming with Mrs. Jones, like what I used to watch on Dynasty, like when my mom was watching that back in the 80s. You listen to Joan Collins and those people speak and you say, hey, it might be very nice to use something like that. It's not cursing. It's not yelling. But this is very eloquent vocabulary that people will respond favorably. And so I learned that at a very young age. A, it got me out of trouble, but B, it enabled me to make a lot of friends. And so when I was in high school, I was very much active in student government. I did that because my grades weren't the best. So I'm not recommending people being a rebel in high school. Please do your studies. I just was not focused during those years. But I was involved. I learned a lot outside the classroom. It gave me a chance to raise money through donut sales. I also contributed towards the dances, the sporting events, and raising money and just being active and building the confidence. And you're not going to believe this. If I didn't get the college recommendation letter, Monty G, from the late Principal Norman Schmidt from Abington High School, there's no way I would have gotten into Arizona. And it also helped by my Spanish teacher, Esperanza Galshak, giving me a college recommendation letter. But no, I had to do it fourth and long. I had to get into that end zone. But
Yeah.
I did it through merit. I just didn't do it through the grades. And back in the day, my intentions were honorable. I was just exceptionally immature. But I knew that I had an ability to represent myself in a certain way that was non-offensive. And that people gravitated towards it or remembered my name or took the time to introduce me to somebody else because they felt comfortable enough that I could be associated with them. And I was in sports teams. I played hockey. I was doing other sports as well. So I met a lot of kids. And you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
And as a hockey player, check this out. I started at center, was a wing, then went to D, and then ended up in goal. And I played goalie even throughout college when we played in fraternities and stuff. So it's not about being on the team, Monty G. It's about finding the right position on the team, right bus, right seat. So I was able and capable of realizing I was part of the team, but just where does Richard fit in? And that was easier for me too back in the day. I was molding into myself and I knew my interests, and my interests were not rebellious or getting me in trouble or getting me kicked out of school or in detention. And it seemed to be something that both males and females and adults were comfortable with. And so I just expanded on that. It doesn't hurt to smile and to pay attention to details and compliment food and someone's beautiful house and the fact that they took the time to pick you up and drive you to the movies. Thank you, Mrs. Jones. That's very nice. So I'm the only friend that did it. Those are the kind of things you got to remember.
Yeah, and they will remember you because of that. You was the only one that did it.
You're the only friend they're going to let you play with.
Yeah.
And when they meet, how about this, Monty G? When they see your mother, they're going to listen, by the way, Monty G is literally one of the most well-behaved young men at my house. He finished his plate. He was fun, polite. We love him. He can come back anytime.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
know how your mother's going to feel on something like that. She'll feel like $1 million because the best compliment is how you raised your child.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes with my son, he go visit his friends and they say he's so nice and polite. And I'm like, I'm glad you noticed. He got it from me. So yeah, it do make you feel like a millionaire when they talk good about your kid.
Well,
So
it's
yeah.
easy. It's a protective bubble because you haven't said something embarrassing. You didn't use profanity. You didn't insult
Hmm.
someone. So you're not trying to walk it back or apologize. All you're
Hmm.
doing, Monty G, is just building on that momentum of being a well received guest somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's very nice, especially when they feed you. you
Yeah.
know, you keep complimenting her how delicious it is. Oh, you get a second piece of pie. Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. So your friend, the one that changed your life,
Oh,
did you
yeah.
meet him in college or was he a friend at a young age?
Oh, no, this was college. But all of my friends throughout my life have been incredible. But for this one stage of Costa Rica, no, it was an extremely special individual that was friends with me for such a long time prior to even this opportunity. So you could never misconstrue it as being a tit for tat or someone owing someone else a favor. These are just two incredibly close friends that once again offered an amazing opportunity just from pure kindness.
Right.
And that's why it was received the way it was. There was nothing expected in return. Little did I know that this was going to turn into this amazing adventure, but it takes a lot to speak to for somebody and put your word out there, because if this individual falls short, it's not necessarily on you, but you kind of did recommend that individual. But
Hmm.
on the flip side, if you know somebody that flies high and goes far, you are so proud
Mm.
to be their friend. And then you can even brag and say, I knew him when he was 8 years old.
Yeah, yeah,
So you have real old school history, the times during sleepovers and dinners, and the time someone fell off a bike and cried and ran home. You were there, still his friend.
yeah.
But those are the old schools before the fame and the fortune, or before these responsibilities that might compromise certain decisions you may have. And so I've had amazing people at every stage of my life, but you and I both know that the friends you make during your elementary years are usually your strongest friends.
Hmm. And I asked you that question because I try to explain to my kids like when you go to college, it's not like high school, and the people that you meet in college, they're gonna be well connected and they can change your whole life. So my both of my boys, they graduated, and I was like, I gotta go to college. They're like, oh, we don't want to go to school no more. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, and we moved around a lot.
All right.
So they went to several different schools, but I think school kind of, I don't know what it did to them, but they wasn't excited to learn anymore.
Hi,
And,
Monty
or,
G.
or or if they was learning,
They were. They
and
were. With
but
the teachers, it's
so we sit down at the dinner table and I talk to them, and they tell me, they say, Dad, I learned more from you than I learned from my teachers.
well, you knew that from the start. How
And
do you expect those teachers to keep up with, graduate level
yeah,
advice?
yeah. So I'm like, all right, man. But and that's why I asked you the question, like, because you meet someone in college and you don't even know that this can be the person that changed your life. And I tell people all the time, when somebody say come visit, that's a life changer. Because you
Yeah,
say, I'm finna visit for a couple weeks, and there you is for 20 years.
well, Monty G, this is what I do know, that I am consistent. And the reason that I got the confidence from these certain individuals with these connections is because I wasn't looking for something or to try to rise the social ladder. I was just as true as the day is long. And I guess I was considered the break from the hustle. I was considered the individual that could just kick it and not ask any questions, business or pressure related. I could just talk about fun things.
Okay, okay. I'm glad you said that because we at 30 minutes right now, and I call this the hour of power. So
Oh,
yeah, so we got another 30 minutes left, and I got some questions for you, and they some fun questions.
well, then let's do this, my man.
All right, let's go. Let me get to the questions. I had a couple of questions for you, but no, you've been going in. So
Well, thank
uh
you.
yes. All right. First question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? What's the first thing you do or think about when you wake up in the morning?
That bed is made. I can almost flip a dime on it. Mm-hmm. That's
Mm,
a mutual respect and completing that circle. But just like you waking up early, I'm a little bit later than you, but I'm in the gym by 5:30. And
yeah.
so I work out for a couple hours in the morning and I have to drive to work in a convertible. I got to do that as well to put me in a mode. And also
Yeah.
I have a gamification culture. I collect pinball machines and retro arcade machines. So I'm always gaming and playing my old restored machines.
Yeah, and I was gonna ask you about that. Like, is that something that you always want to do as a kid? And now you got the money and you got the people, so you like, you know what? I got a big old game room. Come on. Cause I hear you talk about how people need to reset themselves or just blow some steam off. And you say, come on to the game room. So
That's right,
tell me,
Monty G.
so tell me what you got in the game room.
Oh man, I got a bunch of pinball machines like Jurassic Park, Hook,
Okay.
World Cup, Street Fighter,
Oh,
Alpine Racer
Street
2
Fighter.
is a ski machine, Ultimate Fighter, Killer Instinct. I mean, I got a bunch of stuff, even an air hockey table. It's free play. I don't charge you. And
Okay,
so,
okay.
and I rotate the games out because you only have so much space downstairs. I still got another 8 machines. But
Okay.
the main thing, as you said before, is to let off the steam, recharge batteries, make friends, hang out with me, and
Yeah,
also play a machine that is passe. It's very difficult to find original pinball machines these days,
I know.
especially in Costa Rica. But getting to your point, absolutely. I had the cash, I got the space. It's treasure hunting. And
Mm-hmm.
besides pinball, I collect Ricola jukeboxes as well.
Mm.
And one man's trash is another man's
Man's
treasure. I'm
treasure.
going to drive a couple hours to pick something up, and something from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You
Mm.
got to be kidding me. The fact that they've been preserved for so long, you can really appreciate the artwork and the marquees and the lights and the sound. And so I do have experts here that assist me in restoring the machines. It's easy to order parts. And I don't know about you, but I take out the Wildcat 125, a special liquid, and
Mm.
I slowly clean the surface. I talk to them, tell them how beautiful they are. My wife looks at me. She goes, "You're crazy." I go, "Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, that's a definite sword I'm willing to I'm willing to fall on. I'm
Hey.
willing to admit that to anybody. And so yes, my friend, I've created an environment where there's still some sort of play. It shows the people that work with me that I care about them enough and that I'm cool, but also
Mm-hmm.
that you can chill out for a little bit and have an area to relax. And so your entire audience, when they grow up and they become exceptionally successful, like me and you,
Mm-hmm.
they get their shot at it. They have their chance to know someone's name, to give them support, to make an environment pleasing and comfortable. You'll get your shot to be a leader. And I hope that they take it seriously because you're supposed to pay it forward.
That's right.
It me today, you tomorrow, Monty G. You know
Mm-hmm.
that. And so
Mm-hmm.
my advice to your amazing young audience that is taking the time to watch this podcast and to better their lives with certain role models is that you don't need to be, play the fool and joke around and always get laughs. There's certain times for that. But people respect others that follow through on commitments and that are willing to do things when the cameras aren't rolling and your friends aren't around, that dedicated practice and
Mm-hmm.
making yourself better and
Mm-hmm.
sticking with time. So you do show up at a certain time or you do follow through on certain things. And those are the first downs in order to get your touchdowns. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can have these sort of ethics, then you have this as a young individual. Imagine what you can do when you have more resources as an adult and
Yeah.
the ability to really spend your cash.
Hey, I know. Yeah, that's I like that. I always tell people practice make improvement.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So All right, next question. Hot or cold? Which one do you
Mhm.
prefer?
Is it pizza? I prefer it cold. But if it's temperature, I like it hot because I get cold.
No, okay.
I mean, if you name me 10 things, I can say hot or cold. I'm going to go 50%. It's a yin and a yang. It's a sweet and a sour. You got to name me the topic.
All right. I mean, which one you prefer? Like, some people
It's
take
good.
cold showers. Some people take hot showers. Some
Oh, if you're
people like
talking showers,
Minnesota.
hot
No,
showers.
I mean, some people like to live in cold weather. Some
Oh,
people like
no,
to live
no,
in hot
no.
weather.
Correct. Hot. Yes, yes. One more
Yeah.
question. So I'll give you a hot and cold.
All right.
I mean, you're asking great questions, though. Yeah, hot
Yeah.
shower and warm weather. So I'm 2 for 2 on the hot.
Yeah. All right.
You're so funny.
Hamburgers or tacos?
Oh, I'm a hamburger guy, without
Oh,
a doubt.
okay.
But you know what I like to do? I like to scoop out the bread a little bit and just make it more of like
Uh,
covering because it fills you up too much. And it really, because if you start stacking burger instead of having it slide out or get you dirty, it really just caps it in there. So all the
oh,
stuff gets.
like a dome.
Of course, you don't need that extra bread. That you're missing out on great real estate. That's where the pickles need to be. You're out of your
Yeah.
mind. And the
Ooh.
onions and the grilled onions.
Hey, that's crazy. You said that. You said real estate and it just popped in my head. Like I ask people all the time. I say, "Do you know what business is McDonald's in?"
Yeah, they own all the real estate everywhere.
Real estate, and everybody say they hamburgers. I'm like, you can make a better hamburger than McDonald's.
Blasphemy. Really?
Yeah,
Better than a McBLT?
yeah. You can
Better than
do
a
it.
Shamrock Shake? Are
I
you
say,
serious?
yeah. So yeah, they in the real estate. They got, like you
Ah, you're
said, they
funny.
got real estate all over the place. So
Yeah, but you're wasting real estate on bad bread. You could stuff more goodies on top of it. You're crazy.
yeah. So growing up, what was your favorite cartoon?
Ooh. Different stages of life. I loved Fritz. I loved Fritz the cat.
Fritz's cat. Hey. All right. So next question. I told you gonna be some fun questions. Um, growing up, what was your favorite cereal?
Oof. I guess I enjoyed. I guess I enjoyed Apple Jacks.
Ooh, Apple Jacks.
Yeah, I was an Apple Jacks kind of guy.
Okay. What is your favorite pair of shoes of all times?
Spats.
Specs?
Spats, SPATZ, is like the old black and white, or even tan and brown and white. The 1920s style.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to
Uh,
look
That's
them up.
that's that's how I roll. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
spat shoes. I got a guy down here that makes them custom made. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. I might give me a pair made.
Yeah, when you come visit, absolutely.
Yes. All right. So, what was the worst job you ever had?
Man, the worst job that I ever had. Oof, there were a few that weren't so good, but I guess worst job that I ever had. I guess it was selling door to door meats. I did it one day.
Mm.
I got suckered in, and I think they sent me with a shill, but it was something that vacuum sealed meat, and they had these plans for like $300. I must have been
Oh,
right. Yeah, man. I was right out of college looking for something. You can make this amount a day. I'm like, we're going to make that. So I go down there. I'm all dressed well. So they send me, because I'm a clean cut. So they sent me out, I'm telling you, with the mark. Because all these people were renting their vans for the day with the cooler in the back. And so we went to this one apartment complex, and we started knocking on doors. And lo and behold, by the fifth door, he's got a woman signing tons of stuff and buying tons of stuff. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, "Where's my cut?" He goes, "Your cut's experience. Why don't you come back the next day and start renting this truck?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" Oh, I got dirt all over me, crap in my hair. And I go, seriously? I go, man, I understand where this was going. Tell your wife she can keep the meat. I know that's who you sold it to. I go, I'm not coming back tomorrow. So that was literally the worst job that I ever had. But I learned a lot. There's nothing wrong with canvassing. It really builds character. In fact, I worked for Frontier Communications, was the first legitimate job that I had post grad that I kept. And so worked there for a year. It was a telecom company, and that was great. That was excellent experience. I was selling in the Latino marketplace in Phoenix because their international rates were much higher than domestic rates, and the rate deck was incredible. And back in those days, you just signed a contract and showed your bills that didn't have an outstanding balance, and you were just selling accounts like crazy. And it was, I'm going to date myself. It's during the days of broadcast faxing, where you put in a fax and just shoot out to people. And so, yeah, during those years.
So, it was something else I wanted to ask you about the your call center.
Mm-hmm.
So, do people call y'all or you call them?
A little bit of both. We have inbound customer support and back office support. Certain campaigns work with appointment setting and lead generation, and sometimes even sales. But sales to me is a very small segment of the labor pool. There's really no loyalty to a flag. It's almost like a mercenary. They'll just jump with the best offer, and they're highly marketable. So just beware. Those might be hotshot individuals that come in with bad habits and could be a cancer. Not trying to scare your young audience, but listen, I'm going to tell you the balls and the strikes, and sometimes there's certain things to avoid. Shiny objects could also not be exactly what you think they are. You're almost better off, Monty G, bringing someone that's bilingual, which bears the mark of higher education, but let's say they don't have call center experience. It's very easy for me or you to take on a squire. We can mold them. They don't have bad habits, and it's very easy to teach you a CRM and a headset. The rest is I got to teach you composure and delivery, which is very easy to do. And so if you and I are going to grow a company, sure, we'll bring in people with experience, but a lot of time we got to bring in the freshmen. We got to get them up to speed. And to me, some of those are the better and more long-term employees that I've been able to have.
Okay. I was telling my son about you, and he brought up something. He say, yeah, you know, they got the call center. You can call and ask them if you got trouble with your video game. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, they'll help you with your video game. I'm like,
my call center.
yeah. I say, oh, I didn't even know that. So, yeah.
All right.
So,
well, we have specific accounts. I'm not sure if we're working with video games. What console are you talking about? If it's like in television or ColecoVision, I can personally help you.
Yeah, but I think he on the I don't get off into the video games, but he got a PlayStation something. I don't know.
Well, there might be a customer service number on the back of the box. It may or may not ring into my center. Most likely not. I don't remember having any accounts like that. But there are areas that will assist. My suggestion for your son, if he ever needs to get something fixed at a company, is to give a positive escalation. If somebody ever helps you and you're going to continue working with that company, try to get transferred to a supervisor, because they get 99 yelling, cursing, and screaming calls. But if you say, hey, listen, supervisor, I just want to let you know that Monty G did the most amazing job. I'm a happy client. He resolved the issue. And don't kid yourself. Your supervisor, Monty, is going to note that down. And that's also when it gets passed on to higher ups, because that's where bonuses are given. That's where promotions are thought of. And so when you're thinking about calling the company back, if you happen to get Monty G on the phone, there's a very good chance I'm going to get a discount. You might resolve it quicker, put me into the front of the line, or say, Richard, thank you very much for speaking to my supervisor about me. I really appreciate it. Now I'm a supervisor, and here's my direct line, just in case you need anything. And you're friends with Monty G now, and you did it the old school way. You helped them out. And that's how I've been friends with owners of restaurants that work their way up, and people that get you the best seat at the airport because you're nice to the lady at front for the last 10 years. You didn't yell at her. That's how you play the long game on that. You just be very nice, and you give the positive escalation so people remember you, and you separate yourself from others for long-term relationships.
Yeah, I gotta say, I like your philosophy, man. You know, sometimes I tell people like, and I ask people this to try to change their mindset. I say, when you go out to eat for dinner, do you pay? Do you tip the waitress first or after dinner? And they say after dinner, and I'm like, no. I say, think about this. If you tip the waitress, slide a $10, $20, and you say, me and my wife finna go out to eat and take care of us, they gonna do this thing called hovering around you. You need something to drink, you need something, you're gonna have the best experience. I say, you don't tip last. They're like, well, what if the food wasn't good? It don't matter. You want the experience of having a good time. Because somebody probably had 4 bad tables, and now they get to your table and they bringing that bad energy to you, and your food gonna be bad. Everything gonna be bad. But if you go ahead and nip it in the butt right now and say, hey, you go $20, take care of me and my wife. She going to get her jacket because it's cold in here. And when she come back, you act like take care of me. And they going, oh, thank you. Monty, you need anything? And you need any more water, any more refill? Or that's what they gonna do. And I try to tell people, and they like, no. And I'm like, you know what? I see where your head at. My head and your head is in 2 different places. So I like your philosophy. I like how you put it. Like, you can be talking to somebody, next you get a bonus or you get a raise or you be stepping up. And that's what it's all about. It's about having a good relationship with people, making them laugh, having fun, giving them a good experience that they'll never forget.
Monty G, knowing their name. That's
Knowing
the
their
first
name.
step.
Knowing their name. Yep, that's it. So I got
What else
another
you got?
question. If you could talk to your 16-year-old self at the age you at right now, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to practice the violin a little bit more because I'm starting now and I'm terrible. If I started then, I'd be able to impress my wife. So I wish maybe I was a little more musically inclined back in the day to take some more lessons and to start practicing.
Okay. You said the violin. Yeah, you say you bad at it right now, huh? If you start early, it's gonna be like a second nature.
Of course. Yeah, if I played for you right now, we couldn't be friends anymore. Cut it out of the episode.
Oh no. All right. Let me see. One more question. I hit my button. All right. I said 16-year-old self. All right. So if you had a superpower, what would it be? If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
My superpower, I guess, it'd be able to fly.
Fly. Okay.
To have that sort of experience. I mean, I'm not going to go out there with, being invisible so I could steal something,
No.
or be super duper strong so I can beat up everybody like Popeye. I think I would want to try something that would just be an addition to. And if I had the ability to float, I could have that sensation while still being me, not completely changing like into the Incredible Hulk. But I think the sensation of flying would just be amazing.
Okay. If you can change one thing in the world, what would you change?
I would change hunger. 100%. I don't think anybody should go to bed hungry. I don't know how to solve it. I'm not at that stage, but there's nothing worse than an empty stomach. I think it's growing up, you should always smell something cooking in the kitchen on a rainy night. And you should always be comfortable physiologically so your body is in peace when you end your day. So then possibly you can recharge during the night and start the next day strong. And so I think everybody should at least be given that sort of basic nutrition.
Okay. So on that note, what is your favorite thing to cook or put it in the microwave?
Oof. My favorite food of all time is uni with quail's egg, which is a sea urchin.
Okay.
That stuff is so tasty and delicious. But my wife makes an excellent octopus dish which I love. And the seafood here is incredible. So I'm always cooking up lobster tails and stuff. So consider me someone that adores seafood. And if the
Okay.
recipe is right, I can eat as much as I can until I pass out.
Okay. All right. If you was stuck on the island and you had to only pick 2 albums to listen to, like music, what would it be?
I guess I would choose Jimi Hendrix Greatest Hits and In Excess Greatest Hits.
Hmm. Okay. That's 2, right?
That's it.
That's something to it. You got a third one?
Oh, I can do a third one, then throw in some sort of classical, maybe some sort of Beethoven or Bach or something. I don't know. I got to switch it up a little bit, and then maybe just mesclarlo and put all 3 together. I don't know. You don't think you're going to be sick of all of them after 1 month?
I mean, but Beethoven though. I can
And
go.
put it this way, you can eat too much chocolate. You know that. There's
Yeah.
always too much of something and everything.
Yeah.
It's too much of one.
Yeah, too much of anything. All right.
Wait, how about this? Hold on. Can I go back for a second?
Go ahead.
Am I able to take some sort of music that's not primitive, let's say, but let's say it could be some sort of mixture of a beat or a sound, people that use for these sort of meditation sort of purposes, where it could just be consistent, not like a humming or a
Mhm.
buzzing, but if I'm allowed to create any sort of music, or does it have to be an artist? I may want to, if I may, besides the ocean, the breeze and stuff, create other types of sounds that could last longer, expand me more, not memorize the freaking lyric or the lick, but really just have a sort of different type of
Relaxation.
small to middle to sounds for
Mhm.
me. I think that might be better because you have the wind and the ocean. You got that for the next 50 years on the island, and you can live with that. You're not sick of
Yeah.
it. It's soothing and you like it. So I would need some other, maybe 3 sort of music stimulations to be able to make that complete. Yeah, scratch the first 3. Let's make some good music that could last me, if I may.
You know, the first music that was ever made came from the birds and animals. You know,
Yeah.
I used to go in my backyard like about 6 in the morning after I work out. I just listen to the birds and I'm like, wow, I'm like, that sounds beautiful. And I grew up in Chicago. Right now I'm in Florida.
All
And
right.
and it's beautiful. And I'm like, man, it's so peaceful and quiet. I'm like, man, a kid
Nature's
from
music. Yeah, we're going to choose nature's music.
nature's music. Hey, I
Nature's music.
like
Things you
that.
can't get on the island. It's got to be like cold stuff,
Yeah.
or
Oh,
other things that's not on the island. Uh-huh.
yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see. Uh, you know what? Let me go back to the questions that before we cut out. I'm going to get to the questions that I have for
I
you.
tell you, Monty G, you are more than prepared. This has been an amazing interview. I can't thank
Uh,
you enough.
I'm so excited. I ain't gonna even lie. I'm so excited. I feel like I'm bouncing all over the place.
There we go. Look what
Cause
we did on a Friday night. Look at this.
cause I've been waiting for 2 weeks to have this interview with
Yeah, I
you.
saw that on YouTube. Everyone's been excited for the upcoming episodes. So
Yeah.
as I say,
So
I can't thank you enough.
yeah. So let me see. I asked you about that. I'm gonna get into your business. Let me see. I asked you that already. Yeah, I asked most of the questions I said, but I told you I'm just all over the place, man. I
I
just
love
all
those
over.
random questions. Keep asking me questions. This is the
I
best.
I know. Let me get back into my random question. Yeah. So yeah, I like your story about when you was talking about I had one of your. Hold on, give me 1 second.
You know, Monty, everybody wants to leave a castle, to slay a dragon, save a princess, and be a prince. If you hold yourself back from any sort of real life adventure, when you become my age, close to 50 years old, You just don't want that sort of regret. You don't want to hurt your life or make it more difficult. But there are certain things inside of you that you have to fulfill.
Yes.
You have to really think about these things when you put your head on a pillow at night, what you really want to do with your life and your time, because my friend, you know how fast it goes.
Man, my thing is, what we gonna leave when we leave? What we gonna leave on this earth to let us know that we was here? So I wrote a couple books, and I used to do music. I kind of scratched that. I wanted to start over and be more
Hmm.
positive, because the music I was doing, it wasn't that positive, but people seemed to like it, but the people that like it wasn't positive either. So
Monty G, you were going through a stage. It's all right. You
yeah,
expressed yourself.
yeah, and that's all it was. I was expressing myself, how I felt, and how I feel now. I don't feel that way. So I'm like,
Don't we change? I mean, wasn't your hairstyle different when you were 12? Things change.
yeah, it was nice and curly. Now it's nice and bald. Yeah. So
Excellent.
so can you tell me, like, your, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a testimony that you felt like, oh, this had to be God to make this happen. Like, wow, I can't believe this.
The fact that I met my wife down here, the one
Mm.
in a million shot, I should have never been here to begin with.
Oh,
And the fact that she and I were able to start a company that's almost 15 years old. I mean, 10% of companies make it a year, 1% make it 10 years. I'm in a
yeah.
competitive industry. So every day to me is gravy on top. And so a testament is more proof in the pudding, that track record that fortunately for me, I have luxury. It's not despair. I didn't fail necessarily. And I believe that now I did have certain setbacks, of course. You may lose clients, and individuals you invest in may disappoint you, Monty G, and they'll just not give you 2 weeks notice and just leave. But
Mm.
I know in my mind that I fulfilled that obligation of not just job stability, but I invested in that individual. I mentioned the thesaurus so you can expand on your similes because English is their second language. How can I make it where they're more marketable, they're more secure, they're self-reliant and self-confident? And these are the sort of things that I took seriously. And so the only setback, I guess, to me is that it didn't start earlier. But the reality was that I wasn't ready during those
Yeah.
stages. I might have not been able to handle contracts as seriously as you can when you're older, or being financially responsible. And so things happen for a reason. If it happens to you later in life, well, that's the natural way. Because if you force fit in the beginning and it doesn't work out, you can blame everybody else. But in essence, it just wasn't the right time.
Right. And I tell people, you can always want something, but the real question is you ready for it? Are you prepared for it? Because if you're not prepared for it, the blessing can come, and you wasn't prepared, you would just throw it as a fluke, like, oh, it wasn't. It was just no. That was your changing point, but you wasn't ready. And like what you just said, you say, I wasn't mature enough to handle what I'm doing right now. If it had came a month earlier, it wouldn't be where I'm at right now. I wouldn't be at where I'm at right now because my mind wasn't there. So I think everything happened for a reason, happened in time. It take time. So I know I'm gonna be super successful. I just gotta take the time. I'm not trying to rush it. I'm just having fun with it, enjoying
Just
my
remember,
life.
there's 10% variable. Was I ready for it? Sure. I just didn't have the experience to handle
That's
that
right.
10% bump in the road, or, or puddle. And so that needed to be done. You judge character through chaos and how you handle yourself and what you're able to do. And, you know, you're always ready. It's just accepting the fact that there might be a chance to fail.
Mm,
And if you're concerned that your friends are going to laugh at you, they may. If you might lose a little bit of money, you might. Your time, I got you. Your pride, what pride? In fact, you have more pride by trying than not trying. But I
right.
tell you what, my good friend, Monty G, fortune favors the brave. And if you're the only one that volunteers to do something, the only one that's going to reap the rewards. And all sometimes people like to do is speak in circles compared to going outside that circle and trying something in their life. And you're not going to get ridiculed. It's just different. And people are really just being, looking introspective in themselves, that they didn't have enough confidence to walk across a dance floor and ask someone to dance,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
go into the football game and take that play. I mean, you
Yeah.
got to pass somebody the ball and somebody has to start the show.
That's
Why
right.
not you? Be
That's
that
right.
individual that is the first one to do the dance, and then everyone's going to jump in. You know that.
Yeah. Saying, who better than you to start it off?
You
So
remember Footloose?
yeah, Footloose. Yeah.
You got to pull the footloose every now and again. Be that
Yeah.
individual.
Yeah. So let me see. Oh yeah, we chopping up at that hour already. Uh
Go so fast, Monty G. I'm not going
I
anywhere. I can give you
I
another 10 minutes for an encore if you want.
all right, okay, we can do that then.
Listen, why are
Uh
we go? Why are you rushing? Why are you rushing?
we
And your mother would tell you to slow down a little bit.
I know it's all about patience.
I'm having the best time, Monty. Where are you going?
All right, let me see. Uh, I'm gonna get back to some of these questions. I got some questions, but no, not that one. Yeah, I think I got a whole bunch of questions, man.
Well, give me the theme, and maybe I can predict some of the questions that you may be asking.
All right, so here go one, right? If you're but you already 50, right? But just say if your average life was 40 years, what would you do with your life different? Like if you can just live to 40, that was it. What would you do different?
Hmm. Guaranteed end of day. You're the first day you become 40, you drop dead. Well, if you know the time that's ending, you can really organize your time. I guess I would start with elementary education, but then I would be outside every day figuring out what to do just to enjoy those remaining, let's say, 20 years in the
Mm,
sun, even if it's digging holes or just building barns or something. At least if I know I'm going to die, I'm going to, what are you going to do? I'd rather be once again testing my body and enjoying sunshine and
mhm.
trying to do something more fulfilling than just chasing money, because it's not guaranteed you're going to hit it. Imagine if you wasted those 20 years on Wall Street and you never even cracked that code.
Mm, mm, mm.
And so maybe join the Navy so you can sail the seven seas, or just try to, if you get to live that life over and over again, just try to do something that is almost a guaranteed of experience
Mhm.
versus financial success or that sort of prestige that you're looking for. Because how about this? Maybe I spend 30 years practicing the violin. Imagine that sort of fulfilled life. It's guaranteed that you're
Mm.
enjoying yourself every day. So it depends on how I feel that day, my man. I might want to spend 30 years eating.
Yeah.
Just see what happens there and just keep getting bigger.
No, yeah. Life is all about trying something new every day.
All right.
And I try to practice that. Like I try to do something new. Try to get out of that routine of doing the same thing over and over.
Yes.
So and some people get trapped into that. Um
Well, some
that
things in your routine are positive. You should wash your dishes and make your bed. Get
I
up on
mean
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
but you need
tell
a special sauce in there. You need to at least do something different, as you say.
yeah, yeah, like I tell people, I tell my kids, brother. When I say people, I'm talking my kids because them like my best friends, right?
Okay.
So I tell them, I say, if you can't make your bed up, you can't make a multi-million-dollar business. Like if you can't do the small things, you definitely can't do the big things. So they like, wow. I'm like, yeah.
Sometimes people get lucky. A first-time golfer could get a hole-in-one, and you do know some of these geniuses that don't know even how to tie their shoes. And so, if that's the worst thing that somebody has, that they don't know how to iron a shirt or color coordinate, then I think that's the greatest thing ever, because they might have other skills that could be more of a contribution to humanity.
You was absolutely right, because you might not be good in this area, but you might be great in another area.
I mean, look how you and I look and speak. We're great in many areas. It's
Yeah.
just, and some people that are just incredible and that are geniuses might have a quirk about them. They might be different in a way that's not offensive, but is unique. And you
Hmm.
have to understand that one rare color that you have in the crayon box that's just awesome, that everybody
Hmm.
loves. And yeah, you have to, like me, I like the color mint. I always thought that was kind of cool with like cars or
Hmm.
shirts and stuff. It reminds me of the
Yeah.
50s and cafes and stuff. So you got to be like a mint. You got to have
Yeah.
that certain style that's classy and cool,
Yeah. That stand out. That's different.
but not offensive, not in your
Hmm.
face, but it just slides in there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. My favorite color is salmon.
Is it now?
Yes, sir.
Well, I can tell. Very good.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. That's a question I want to know.
Yes, Monty G.
How did you run across the Fan Mission podcast?
Man, you're on the internet. It's good stuff. You're very
Okay.
popular there, and you're so entertaining and so animated that at least it caught my attention. Had
Yeah.
me sit through a couple episodes. We binge watched you, and then inspired me enough to reach out to you. So think about it like this: you're an eye catcher. There's so
Thank
many that are out there, especially you at the beginning when you just really hit them hard
you.
and you get
Yeah.
excited and your background is cool. So, how about this? I didn't even hear you initially. You usually see images of podcasts,
Hmm.
or if you're scrolling through YouTube, you're looking through certain genres and you will see animated individuals that are speaking in backgrounds, and you can almost feel the energy of that show. And so that's how I originally saw you, to then listen to you, understand you, and definitely want to meet you, Monty G. And so
Yeah.
you're doing
Yeah.
great stuff, man. You're really doing good work and you're helping a lot of people.
Man, I tried. I tried. So yeah, I try to, if I can reach one person, man, a day, I'm good with that. Like,
How about this? You're reaching more than that. The only thing is, you don't know about it. There are individuals that watch your videos and talk about you, and they might not be in the right moment to reach out to you like I did. But you
yep.
know perfectly well there are people that are listening to you and realizing that they have a friend out there, even if they haven't met you yet.
Man, well, if y'all didn't mention it, I appreciate y'all.
We all do. We
Yeah.
all do.
Yeah. So I ain't gonna hold you up too much longer, man. I appreciate you coming on the podcast, spending this hour of power with me. It was fun, exciting, and I wish I had more questions. I got a lot of questions for
I
like
love
other
these
people.
questions. Just keep on. I'll take someone else's question, see if I can answer it. I'm only kidding. No,
Uh,
but your young audience, they're impressionable. They could watch 1,000 things. They decide to watch me and you. They
yeah.
decide to watch us multiple times. And as I say before, you can have personality. You can be cool, but being cool doesn't mean getting in trouble. you
No, no.
you just don't want to do that. It's not worth it. And if you have issues by concentration, sitting down, discipline to go through homework, I don't know what you're going to do, but try to find fun with it and
Hmm.
try to. What I used to do, here was a trick where I started by speaking. Studying was boring when it was by myself. So my parents were kind enough to allow me to pull out my history book or
Mm-hmm.
my science book. And instead of talking about certain things by myself or just writing it, they would allow me to read 3 or 4 pages to them. And they would assist me or just listen to me speaking it out loud. And just by having that sort of interaction And instead of just reading it, speaking it, you're still reading it, but you're speaking it. And if you're public speaking it, that's the triple. So how do you not retain that information? You're standing up, you're moving around, your parents and family are proud, you're pausing more compared to having to reread or reread a page because you're going paragraph per paragraph because you're almost Shakespearean. You're holding out your right hand and you're more expressive and you're doing character building. And you're doing this where you're double gunning it because it's school related. It's not goofy related. And so as long as you're willing to invest the time and your child is willing to stand up and do this sort of studying, hey, you're going to know they're studying. If they do that for an hour, it's guaranteed that they just studied for an hour. You watch them. But it just wasn't watching over their shoulder, making them intimidated and grilling. It was like through play. And I tell you what, if they want to dress up in character because they're doing something in history class, where they want to sit in some sort of spaceship or make a fort in the den with pillows and do some sort of action play to go over homework or what some sort of homework assignment is, that's where the breakthroughs happen. That's where your children become brilliant and they can expand on multiple senses for that better sort of learning experience, because just, pen and paper is sometimes it feels like a chore, Monty G. I needed to throw play in. Even up to my 50s, I still have to have play with work. You know me.
And that's what I think. That's what it is with my kids. They was getting bored of doing stuff by themselves, studying by themselves.
Yeah, man. Make it fun.
Yeah,
there's ways to do it.
Yep. Dang, that you got me thinking about that now. Yeah.
How about this? One of the best teachers I've ever had, and I've had so many. I had an English teacher that allowed me to turn my paper back in. Now you're like, oh yeah, really? So I could do this 100 times until I get an A on it? Yeah, sure, if that's what you want. If that's what the goal is. If it's going to take you 100 times to get an A, we got issues. You should, try 3 or 4 times to figure out what you did wrong, and then you can slide in there. But this teacher was brilliant. It allowed me to understand what I did wrong, expand on my vocabulary, rewrite something, knowing I'm getting a better grade. But the main goal was to learn, and especially composition writing skills. I thought that was incredible of this individual. Don't kid yourself. By the first time that I wrote it, it wasn't like, getting that A. There were times I couldn't crack his code. I couldn't figure it out. They didn't give it to me because, of sympathy. And I would get angry sometimes. And he goes, dude, do you really want to get that A? How are you going to make $100,000 a year if you can't crack this code? You didn't say it right. The tone is off. And these were incredible teachers that made me want to do the Mr. Miyagi, Daniel's son, Karate Kid. Miyagi wasn't there during all scenes. Daniel was practicing on the beach in the boat by himself. Yeah. And the best teachers are the ones that excite you so much that when they're not around outside the classroom, you're practicing. And so for me, I used to enjoy studying that sort of stuff because it really it reduced any sort of fear or pressure. Did I take advantage of it? Of course I did. I wanted better grades. Yeah. But when I look back at it, it was probably the most incredible, most effective way to have taught me how to write composition, writing in English.
Right. So how important is dual language for people that don't know? Like I always thought about speaking Spanish and English. So
Monty G, when we get older, I know we'll have our good looks, but we're going to lose our head. Here's the skinny dinny. They say that if you learn a second language or you do crossword puzzles, those are excellent ways to keep your mind sharp. And I also wanted to see, as I mentioned before, this learning a second language, I don't need to download, plug in, or bring equipment with me. So if you have this sort of skill like whistling, you could really do it anytime, any place, and it won't cost you a dime. And so when you get older, hopefully very old, when you're in your 90s, chill with a nice long beard, you'll be whipping out multiple languages, and you'll
Mm-hmm.
just be sitting there chilling, but actively engaged compared to just passively watching a movie or something. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, every sort of experience that I had in college and post grad when I was speaking Spanish, it was always enhanced. It went from black and white to color. And anything we spoke about was fascinating because it
Mm-hmm.
was practicing vocabulary, me actively engaged and listening intensely for short periods of time. So, guess what would happen, Monty G? Now I'm in the now.
Mm.
You speak a second language, you are there. You're living in the moment. You can't space out on language. You can if you want to, but if you really want to ride that wave and have an efficient conversation with somebody, you are really giving and taking, and you are there. You're not dropping any plates or losing your balance. And once you can do it, and you're talking entry level, which not a problem, champ. Just give it a little bit of time. You'll be at intermediate level by 6 months.
Mm.
You will be surprised on when you're finished that mental exercise that you do is just like working the biceps in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
or eating a healthy dinner of veggies and salmon fish,
Yeah.
and working the language to me is almost like reading 20 pages. You feel really smart afterwards. You feel like you accomplished something, but it's even more than that. You have the ability through this medium to really make an impression, to make friends, to protect yourself. Because if you're in an environment and individuals do not know you speak Spanish, you once again are able to decipher if people are, a friend or foe. But
Yeah.
also, and the second thing, if you're the only individual that can translate for a doctor, an attorney, or get you out of the building or read directions, now you're
Yeah.
invaluable. And so, as I say, it's a gift that can keep on giving in so many different aspects of your life, Monty G.
Yeah. And I tell people, um, it's a difference between want to learn how to speak Spanish or a different language, or you have to. You can have a family, friend, or whatever, get in trouble in a whole nother country, and you got to learn their language to get in touch with him.
That's
So
right.
it's like you have to learn it, or if you want to learn it. And see,
You can't spin it.
I want to learn it. I want to go to a restaurant and speak Spanish to the server, and people look at me and say, "Wow, I like that." You know?
You don't think they'll give you extra cheese for free because of
Yeah,
something like that? I've
yeah,
seen the definite power up when I speak Spanish. Of course, you get the bonus.
yeah. So go ahead, say something in Spanish, man. Say, thank you for having me on the podcast on this Fan Mission Friday.
Ay, muchísimas gracias por aceptarme como un invitado a su programa de Fammission Podcast viernes. Eso es una experiencia lindísima y su trabajo es algo que estamos admirando por todo lado.
See, and that's what I want to do, man. Look for that split second, you turn to a whole different person.
Oh, yeah. You know how much fun this is? My only
I,
problem is I have a very thick Philadelphian accent, so my phonetics is really not where it should be. But I do focus on the subjunctive tense, the past tense,
mhm.
preterite, imperfect, conditional, and future tense, and it's fun. I'm telling you, I would say Spanish is equivalent to about eighth grade pre-algebra. It
Mm,
really is in regards to complexity. Once you get the base and the foundation and you really understand the grammar structure, all you're doing is adding vocabulary and verbs.
mm.
And there are certain tenses that are just so easy. It's just practice. And that's why we need to watch the movies or read certain books. And don't be embarrassed if you're reading a book from kindergarten. You
That's
know,
right.
go Joe go. It's okay as long as I can understand a book of Jack and Jill going up a hill. I think it's fantastic, and then you just go to the next book. But
Yeah.
as long as it's a pasatiempo, if it's one of your pastimes or a hobby, it really is something that enriches your life, and it's just been It's been a gift for me. I knew this was going to make me marketable. There's no way I could have been an attorney or a
Mm,
doctor. There were just certain things I just wasn't comfortable with. But this second language, I knew I could get a job. I could somehow be hired. Little did I know that it becomes an intercambio, your intermedio. You become this bridge between two cultures or two clients
mm-hmm.
or just two individuals. And if that is what you're looking for in this life, because every single culture is becoming more diversified,
Mm,
you will just really find much more interesting experiences that are out there. And as I say, once you get that foundation, Monty G, you will be surprised on how quickly you start adding onto that vocabulary because your mind is used to it. You've been listening, reading, start picking up stuff. You'll wait till our next podcast. We'll probably do it all in Spanish.
hey, see, I told you no. So, man, you were saying something like, um, like reading kids' book. That's a good idea. Like a book that you already know, but then you checking it out in Spanish.
Yeah, why underhand pitches with wiffle balls? What are you going to read, Don Quixote? What's wrong with you? You should
Yeah.
go to the kids section and find things with a lot of pictures because if you don't know the word, but the guy's holding something like a stick, Apollo, right? Palo. You're just like, wait a second, that's the word because it's in la mano, in the hand.
Mm-hmm.
You start, come on, that's the way to go. Let
Mm,
the pictures walk you along. Figure it out on the simple way. And if you could speak like that, you're speaking Spanish.
mm,
I mean, that's what's the beauty of it. It starts at certain levels. You could almost be pure vocabulary, no grammar. And if you
mm,
just start saying food, plate, hot,
right.
more than enough to be able to get that out there. And the grammar, that's the bridge. That's the
Mm,
finesse behind it. But you want to know the coolest thing, Monty G? The fact
mm,
that Spanish is considered a romantic language, for the fact that there's a subjunctive tense which shares the desire and the doubt. And so when you use that in a certain way, it really adds to the emotion and the expression of one's delivery. So it really becomes such an enriched language.
mm. Okay, so before we head out, what can you teach me in Spanish?
What I'm going to teach you in Spanish is to sit down and have patience and to definitely find a basic grammar book and master your present tense in AR, ER, and IR verbs. And
Mm-hmm.
once you get the hablar down, you're good to go. I mean, you can just take that thing and just know every AR verb in present tense, unless it's a special sort of conjugation. Um, but just don't lose the passion for it. Do a little a day. Don't be frustrated. It is something in the beginning that might seem overwhelming, and it's an ocean. You'll never learn every word. In fact, you and I are native English speakers, and look at the dictionary. There's a ton of words you and I don't know in there. And so, my main goal was just communication, stimulation,
Mm,
and still enjoying this. And there's places online, just when you and I hang up, you can just go literally look at present tense online. And if you want to print it out or save that page and just do it that way. And if you have some friends or even somebody at work, just all joking aside, not just the buenos dias, but sit down with this individual and see every day if you can memorize a pattern. So you're not just saying good morning, you're asked how someone is doing,
mm-hmm.
what you're going to eat for lunch, what you're
Mm-hmm.
working on today. So maybe as you're the king of questions,
Yeah.
right? There's
Yes.
no reason why my man Monty can't memorize 10 quick questions to ask a day for a sí or a no or some sort of answer there. ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué has
Exactly.
comido? What did you eat? ¿Cómo has dormido? How did you sleep? ¿Qué vas a hacer hoy? What are you going to do today? Right?
Mm.
Things
See.
like that. And then everyone's going to be saying something back to you. And then you're like, what did you just say? And he's going to tell you another vocabulary word. Because if you're going to ask him what he's eating for lunch, you know that. You're going to be getting 50
Yeah.
words for food within a month. So you could start from there or start with
Hmm.
colors and things like
Hmm.
that, the basic words.
You know what? I learned a lot from this short conversation right here, because it's crazy, because when I'm around Spanish people, it comes out. But then now I'm trying to think of some words or think of stuff I say, and it ain't coming to me. But when I'm at work and I'm around Spanish people, it be coming out a little bit, and I'll be like,
Why can't you
dang,
write a cheat sheet? There's nothing wrong with old school. Write it down on a piece of paper. Look
yeah,
at it 10 times a day. You don't think that the people that work with you, seeing you pulling out a yellow piece of paper, it's got your handwritten stuff on it, and you go, okay, ¿qué has comido para desayuno? What did you eat for your breakfast? They'll look at you like, seriously, Monty? Go, por favor, dime, tell me, you
yeah.
know? And they're like, Monty, yeah, yeah. And they'll start saying stuff to you and
I
getting high fives. Man, you gotta
and
be
when
kidding me.
I know, and when I do, they get excited. They get
And then guess who's
excited
going to
for
be
me.
adding to your paper? Give them the pen. Let them write down something else,
Yeah.
and then you start saving papers. Next thing you know, you got 50 papers.
Mm,
Next thing you know, you're only speaking at work in Spanish, which is the double. Still doing your job, Monty. But if you're speaking Spanish at work, you're using them. Look at the sort of experience you're getting for free out of your job.
mm,
Seriously? Yeah, I'm getting graduate level Spanish speaking while I'm still getting paid to do my job. Still getting my job done, but I'm double gunning, Monty.
yes. Yes. Yeah, I like to work on myself while I'm at work too. So,
That's what I'm saying.
I probably be on my chill time, probably listening to something, or learning something new. And they be like, "Man, what is you doing?" They like, "Man, you different." I say, "Yeah, I'm a little bit different.
We're
I'm like
supposed
a
to be different.
yeah, yeah." So, and I ask people, I say, what is something that you do different that other people you think other people don't do?
I don't think they have a. I think they have a tough time looking themselves in the mirror.
Mm,
You can't start there. We got issues. You
yeah,
need to be happy enough with yourself where you can look at yourself.
be
Maybe
happy.
give yourself a high five and say good job because
Yeah.
that's what you got and that's what we do. And so I know there's a lot of people that don't have that sort of self-respect, and I think that's a shame. I think if they can start with their own foundation and begin there, then they can expand and think about others.
Hmm. So yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people don't think about. They're not conscious about what they do or how they do it or when they do it or where they do it. Like I said, they get caught up in this rat race and they do the same thing over and over and over and over, and they like, and people. I hear people say, "I don't like people," or "I don't like life," and this and that. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, wow, that is disturbing. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna pray for you.
Who are they comparing? Who are they comparing their lives to?
That's what I be wondering. I'm like, I hope y'all not looking at movies and thinking I can be. I wish I was like that. These people lucky. No, it's not luck.
Well, all of us think like that, but no, but realistically, whom are they comparing?
That's what
What
I'm
sort of
saying.
expectations do that? That's what we spoke about in the beginning of the podcast, that there were opinions provided for me. I had certain sort of academic and career expectations.
Hmm.
And I decided to go my own way. I could have failed miserably and had everyone once again tell me I was wrong. But that's that internal.
Mm,
That I bet you that individual you're talking about can't look at themselves in the mirror because they're not being true to themselves.
mm,
Monty, how are you going to live 100 years like that? Why would you want to live like that?
mm,
And even if you don't have as many options as you would like, I got very fortunate to move abroad. This was never supposed to happen. I should have been in the States. But it's not the point. The point is, if I never left Philadelphia, never went to Arizona, if I was in one of those places, I still would have been happy me. I would have
yeah.
found a way to find my balance and center and make the best day. You gave the 40-year question. All that stuff really wasn't about earning money. It was
Hmm.
more about doing things that could have been satisfying during those years.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shame. Hopefully, those individuals will start eating better, maybe exercising, cleaning up around the house a little bit, possibly calling a friend they haven't called in a while, call your mother,
Mm-hmm.
or just start from the basics, man. That's the only thing I can. This life isn't about hitting the ball and dragging Johnny. They got to do it themselves. I can only do so much. I got my own problems. These
Mm-hmm.
individuals need to figure out their game. And I don't want someone holding me back. I'm there to lift you up, but you can't be a drag.
Right.
And you're going to get older. Your teens, it's not cute anymore. And then you're in your 20s, and then you're in your 30s, 40s. Monty, when are you going to begin?
Hmm.
When are you going to start taking on life responsibly and making these sort of big decisions?
Yeah, as soon as it cross your mind, like, I need to do something different. Start right there.
I believe so.
If you got to drop down and do 20 push-ups, that's different. You ain't did them in 20 years. How about that? Do something different. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I like where your mind is going with that. I say,
yeah,
why
like,
not? I say, why
yeah,
not?
yeah. Just do something different. Like, if you want something different, you have to do something different.
And as you say, you have a routine. Okay, we still have like whatever percent of your day's routine. But if you say that random 20 push-ups or doing the dishes or just calling somebody, that could be you getting out of your routine every day by, spicing it up in
Yeah,
between the main dishes with some side dishes. Because you
yes,
still have your responsibilities, man. You still got things you need to do. But I agree with you. You could plan out your day or through a spontaneous sort of
yeah.
action, throw some sort of mix in there.
So you say plan out your day. So do you have or have you ever had a vision board?
No, not really into that. I got supervisors that remind me things, and I'll do small lists, but I still do have my routine. I get up, as I say, breakfast, go to the office, and do my stuff. But I once again try to separate that because, as you say, time goes fast, and you can start creating a sort of bad rhythm that day. You do need breaks and times to rest. Boxers get a chance to go into the corner in between rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important for somebody. And, one of the greatest things is the luxury of time. If I'm given a chance to think about something, rest on it, come back the next day and talk about it, those are the sort of things that help me. It enables me to once again make better decisions. But um, you could plan things out. But life is about chance and about
Yeah.
random. There's no straight lines in nature.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm too pre-focused on steps or something that has to work a certain way, then I might be too rigid. And maybe I'm not open-minded enough or possibly so controlling and so one-way thinking that I am just setting myself up for failure or to make mistakes.
No, I wasn't thinking like that, but I was just thinking like, I always say you run your family, your marriage like a business.
Okay.
Like if you just imagine if you ran your business, you just freestyle everything. People just they don't know what to do. You ain't have no notes. You ain't had nothing wrote down saying y'all need to get this done by this time. By this same thing. So if you living your life just like or whatever, if somebody was running your business like that, you wouldn't have a business.
How about this? It's like a bicycle. I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you the bike. You know the mechanics of a bike. You're the one who decides how you're going to ride that. It's up to you on what you decide to do with our infrastructure, with your own skills and your own business ethics. I like the chance for somebody to express oneself so they're not plastic. They can become more of a painting. They could really be raw and show a sort of natural expression. But there's also rules to follow because things have been tried and tested. And we know that if you do
Mm-hmm.
certain things a certain way, 8 hours of sleep a night, eating good food, avoiding certain things that could hurt your body, you'll have positive results from that. But you're the one who decides if you want to hit the gym or go outside for athletics or to do things like that. So there's multiple ways to get that sort of, you can eat multiple types of food that could be healthy for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to give someone leeway so they can make it their own. I'll give you the crayons, you decide what to draw with it. And so you need to, though, stay in the lines and complete the project. But
Mm-hmm.
it's very nice to see when you give somebody some space and sunlight that they are capable of growing that way while you're still watering them and observing their growth. But
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes mistakes, they're not deal breakers. It gives you the opportunity to handle yourself a certain way during chaos, and it shows true character. And so some of the best relationships I had is when I was able to work through a situation because we acted amicably towards one another and resolved the issue. But also, it shows that we can work through this. And if I can work through a challenging time, imagine our relationship during all the good times. It's just
Mm-hmm.
going to be incredible. And so those are some of the best relationships that are built when you can work through challenges together. Mhm.
Mm. That was perfectly said. I like that.
Keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah, keep you out of trouble. I like that. I like that. I like that. So yeah, we'd already in 35 minutes in. So yeah, man, I can talk to you all day because I like learning. I like how people say things in a different way that I didn't even think about. And you said a lot. And that had me thinking like, I can't wait to talk to my kids. I can't wait to go with my yellow piece of paper to work and speak Spanish and write it down. Like it gave you, man, I'm all over the place.
You know how many points you're going to get? They're going to start teasing you. They're going to start calling you
Hey,
Mr. Yellow Paper Man.
hey, but hey, but you know what though? They notice me though.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh
that's
yeah.
the good part. Like people, they notice me, and I say, man, it's a problem when they don't notice you.
Uh-huh.
That's the problem. That's the problem. When you gone and they don't even know you gone, they gonna
Well, you
say,
definitely want to be noticed. You just don't want to cause a scene. You don't want to be
no,
looked at that way.
yeah, no, you don't want to be caused a scene, but you want to be noticed. I want to be noticed too. So I want you to know that I'm doing something positive too. I want to be known for positive too.
But
Because
you
then,
are.
yeah,
You don't need that sort of 50 years from now acclimates. It's the moment. If your heart is telling you that you're doing the right thing, it is the right thing. You don't
yeah,
need 1,000 people to stand and cheer. You are doing this in a selfless way, and you are just contributing towards youth and towards humanity.
mm-hmm,
And you're doing it in your own way, which to me is a lot of fun. Some conversations are too structured and they're too stiff, where
mm-hmm,
you feel time constraint and pressures and things like that. But not you, Monty G. You
yeah,
really, I've watched a bunch of your podcasts. People are definitely relaxing when speaking with you in many
yeah,
sort of ways. And the fact that they feel free enough to be in that sort of mindset, that's awesome. I mean,
yeah,
water does seek its own level. So you're bringing the right
yes,
kind of people together.
yes, yeah. And I appreciate. I mean, I truly appreciate everyone that been on the podcast. Because if it wasn't for y'all, it wouldn't be me. You
That's right.
know. So yes, I like it. So we're gonna wrap it up, man. Is there anything you want to say to the guests? There's listeners out there because we on all platforms. We on Apple Music. We on all platforms. So we going everywhere with it. So anything you want to say to the people?
Absolutely. Just keep listening to Monty G's show because it's incredible. And look at the way he treats his guests. It's nice making friends because strangers are friends you haven't met yet. And the fact that we're able to spend some time as professional adults and sharing ideas and hopefully, as I say before, contributing to make someone stay out of trouble, get better grades, have a more successful life where they feel fulfilled. And guess what we did? We did our job. But I had a great time on this Friday night, man. It was a lot of fun.
Man, thank you, man. I appreciate you. So, and on that note, learn something new every day in Spanish. Yeah. So, man, I appreciate you again. I appreciate you. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate you, Richard. Like, man, this is super fun. And soon I'd like to have you in the future, and we probably can have a podcast in Spanish, in Español.
I would love that. Será un placer. It would be a pleasure.
Yes, it will. All right. So you have a good one, and give my blessings to your wife, and y'all take care, and man, have fun and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Pura vida, pure life.
See. That's my only word I know now. No. But yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you, Monty G.
All right. Yep. Peace. Yeah, this your boy Monty G. We just had a podcast with Richard Blanks. It was a terrific podcast. If you missed it, please rewind it and come back to it, because we was dropping some jewels. Peace out.
We on the mission, family on the mission. We on the mission, family on the mission. We on the mission, family on the mission. We on the mission, family on the mission.